Most English learners can start a conversation just fine, but the second it goes quiet, they panic and the whole thing falls apart. Today, we are going to fix that for good.
Hey everyone, Alex here.
And I am Emma. Welcome to Fluent English Podcast, the show where two Americans just kind of talk. We chat about everyday stuff, real-life topics, and you listen in, pick up new words, new phrases, and just get a feel for how natural English actually sounds.
Exactly. No textbooks here, no grammar drills, just two people having a real conversation. And today we are talking about something that honestly trips up even advanced English learners.
Oh, for sure. And I think this is actually one of the most frustrating things. Like, you study hard, you learn vocabulary, you practice your pronunciation, and then you finally start a conversation with someone and it goes great for about 30 seconds. And then silence. Just this big, uncomfortable, awkward silence.
The dreaded silence.
The dreaded silence, yes. And you're just standing there thinking, okay, what do I say now? Do I ask another question? Do I talk about the weather? Do I just smile and walk away?
I have been there. Not in English, obviously, but when I was learning French, man, I remember being in a little cafe in Montreal, and I started talking to the guy behind the counter in French, and I said something like, ça va, which is just, how are you? And he said, ça va bien, which means I'm doing well. And then I blanked, completely blanked. I smiled, nodded, grabbed my coffee, and walked to the corner table like I had somewhere very important to be.
Oh no, Alex.
I was hiding, Emma. I was hiding behind my coffee cup.
Okay, so I have a very similar story, but mine is from when I was trying to speak Spanish. I was in a grocery store in Miami, and the woman at the checkout was so sweet. She asked me something in Spanish. I answered. She smiled. And then she said something else, and I understood maybe 3 words. And instead of asking her to repeat it or slow down, I just said, sí, yes, to whatever she said.
What did she say?
I have no idea. I nodded and paid for my groceries and left. I was agreeing to who knows what.
I love it. So we both know that feeling. That is the thing about learning a language. Starting is not the hard part. Keeping it going, that is where people get stuck.
And that is exactly what today's episode is all about. We are going to talk about the art of keeping a conversation alive. We will go through some simple, practical techniques that you can actually use the next time you are speaking English with someone.
And we're going to demonstrate, too. We will show you what a conversation looks like when it goes wrong, and then what it looks like when it goes right. So stick with us.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Alex, why do you think conversations die? Like, what kills a conversation?
Okay, so I think the number one killer is short answers. When someone asks you something and you just answer it and then you stop. Full stop. Nothing else.
Right, like a dead end.
Exactly, a dead end. So someone says, "How was your weekend?" And you say, "Good." And that is it. Now the other person has to do all the work again. They have to come up with a brand new question from scratch.
And that gets exhausting very quickly.
Super exhausting. And then the conversation just kind of fizzles out.
I think another big one is not showing interest. And this is something that even native speakers sometimes forget to do. Sometimes you're in a conversation and you are so focused on what you're going to say next that you stop actually listening to the other person.
Oh, that is so true. You're just in your own head like, okay, what is my next sentence? What is my next sentence? And you miss half of what they're saying.
And the other person can feel that. They can feel when you are not really with them in the conversation.
And for English learners especially, I think this is even harder because part of your brain is already working overtime just to understand the words, right? So there's less mental energy left to actually engage with what the person is saying.
Absolutely. So you end up in this kind of survival mode, just trying to understand, not really responding in a natural way.
So those are 2 big reasons conversations die. Short answers and not showing interest. What else?
I would say not asking follow-up questions. This is huge. A follow-up question is a question that comes directly from what the other person just said. It shows them that you are listening, and it gives the conversation somewhere to go.
Yes, instead of just jumping to a completely new topic every time.
Right, which can feel a little scattered, a little random, like the conversation is bouncing all over the place.
Okay,
So to summarize, conversations die because of short answers, lack of interest, and no follow-up questions. Got it. So now let's talk about how to fix all of that.
Okay, so we said we would show you a demonstration. So Alex and I are going to do a little role play. First, we will show you what a bad conversation looks like, a conversation that is going nowhere. And then we will show you the same conversation done right.
All right. So in the first version, I'm going to give short answers. I am not going to ask any follow-up questions, and I am just going to let things die. Ready?
Ready. Okay, here we go. Bad conversation, version 1.
Hi.
Hey, Alex, how was your weekend?
Good.
Oh, nice. Did you do anything fun?
Yeah, I went hiking.
Cool. How was it?
It was fine.
Cool. Yeah, so, the weather was nice this weekend.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, that was painful. I felt it. I felt the awkwardness.
It is so painful. And you know what? That is what so many conversations feel like. That is so relatable. Someone is trying. They are asking questions, but the other person is just not giving them anything to work with.
Nothing. Just one-word answers.
All right, let's do version 2. Same situation, same topic, but this time we do it right.
Let's go.
Hey, Alex, how was your weekend?
Actually, it was really good. I went hiking on Saturday up in the hills near my place, and the view at the top was just incredible. I did not expect it to be that beautiful, honestly.
Oh, wow, that sounds amazing. Where exactly did you go? I love hiking, but I feel like I always end up at the same trail.
Oh, it is called Ridgeline Trail. It's about 40 minutes from downtown. I had never been there before. A friend recommended it, actually. Have you ever done a trail where you go in thinking it's going to be easy and it completely destroys you?
Oh, every single time. I went hiking last spring with my cousin, and I thought it was going to be like a nice little walk. We were climbing for 2 hours.
Yes, that is exactly what happened. But it was so worth it at the top. We sat there for like an hour just eating snacks and enjoying the view.
That is the best feeling. Okay, I need to look up that trail. Send me the name after.
I will, definitely.
Okay, so that's version 2. Did you hear the difference?
Night and day. And it is not like we were doing anything crazy. I just added a little more to my answers, and I asked her a follow-up question based on what I said.
Right, and I reacted. I said, oh wow, that sounds amazing. I asked a specific follow-up question, not just, was it fun, but where exactly did you go? Something more specific, something that showed I was actually listening.
And by the end, we had a whole conversation going. We talked about trails, we talked about hiking experiences, and it felt natural.
It felt like two people who actually wanted to talk to each other.
All right, so let's break down the techniques one by one. The first one is add something to your answer. Do not just answer the question and stop. Give a little extra information, a detail, a feeling, an opinion.
So instead of, I went hiking, say, I went hiking and it was harder than I expected, but the view was incredible. You are giving the other person something to react to, something to ask about.
Exactly. Think of it like you're opening a little door for them. Here, this is something interesting. Come through the door if you want.
Oh, I love that. Yes, you're offering them options. They can ask about the difficulty or the view or where you went. You give them choices.
And if you are worried your English is not perfect, that is okay. You don't need fancy words. You just need a little more than one word.
Totally. It was good. I watched a movie is already so much better than just good.
Right. Even one extra detail makes a huge difference. Okay, technique number 2. Ask follow-up questions.
This is my favorite one. So a follow-up question is not a new question that changes the subject. It's a question that comes directly from what the person just said.
So if someone says, I spent the weekend visiting my family, you don't say, cool, so what do you do for work? That's jumping subjects. Instead, you say, oh, nice. Where does your family live? Or do you visit them often? You stay with what they just told you.
And this is so powerful because it tells the other person, I heard you. I was paying attention. What you said was interesting enough that I want to know more.
And that feels really good. It feels validating when someone follows up on what you said.
It does. It makes you feel like you matter in the conversation. Okay, and I want to add one thing here. The best follow-up questions usually start with what, how, or why, because those are open questions. They can't be answered with just yes or no.
Oh, yes, the yes or no trap.
The yes or no trap. So instead of, did you like it, which can be answered with just yes, ask, what did you like about it? Now the person has to give you a real answer.
Great tip. Okay, technique number 3, react. Show that you are listening. This is something that is actually very natural in English conversation. Native speakers do it all the time without even thinking about it.
Yeah, we are constantly reacting while the other person is talking. Things like, oh, really? Wow, that is interesting. No way. I can imagine. Tell me more about that.
These are called back-channeling. And before any of our listeners panic about that word, you do not need to remember it. Just know that these little reactions keep the conversation alive. They say to the other person, I am here, I'm with you, keep going.
And they are so easy to learn. You can start with just 3 or 4 phrases. Oh, really? That is so interesting. I know what you mean. I have never thought about it that way. And just rotate through them.
It sounds simple, but it makes a massive difference. Because if you're just staring at someone silently while they talk, that's terrifying for them.
It really is. Please react, people. Even a small nod, even just, or yeah, let them know you are alive.
You are alive and you are listening. Okay, technique number 4, and this one is for when the conversation does slow down. Bring up a related topic.
So this is different from just randomly changing the subject. You want to pivot, not jump. You use something from the current topic to bridge into a new one.
Right. So if you're talking about hiking and that topic has kind of run its course, you can say something like, speaking of being outdoors, have you ever tried camping? Or, that reminds me, I was thinking about trying a new sport. Do you play any sports?
You are using a thread from the current conversation to pull you into the next one. It feels smooth, it feels natural, it does not feel like a sudden change.
And it shows that you were listening and thinking the whole time.
Exactly.
Okay, so we talked about the techniques. Let us now give our listeners some actual phrases they can take away and use today. Phrases for keeping a conversation going.
Yes, so let's start with follow-up phrases. These are things you can say to invite the other person to keep talking.
First one, tell me more about that. Super simple, super effective.
Second one, how did that make you feel? This is great for when someone shares something personal or emotional.
Third, what happened next? If someone is telling a story, this one is perfect.
Fourth, have you always been into that? This is a great one to use when someone mentions a hobby or interest.
Fifth, what was that like? Very open, very flexible, works in almost any situation.
And now some reaction phrases, things to say to show you are listening.
Oh, I had no idea. This one is great when someone tells you something surprising.
That is so funny. I was just thinking about that. A nice connection phrase.
No way, really? Surprise and interest at the same time.
I totally know what you mean. This one builds a connection because you are saying, I have felt that too.
That is such a good point. Use this when someone says something you agree with or find interesting.
And finally, some phrases for when you need to keep things going or restart after a quiet moment.
So, speaking of that, have you ever, a classic pivot phrase.
Oh, that reminds me. Another great pivot.
Can I ask you something random? This is actually a really fun way to introduce a new topic. It signals that you are about to ask something a little unexpected, and people usually say yes because they're curious.
Oh, I love that one. It creates a little bit of suspense.
Right? It's like a tiny cliffhanger.
Okay, I want to share one more thing before we get to our tips. And this is something I learned from my own language learning experience. When I was trying to hold conversations in Spanish, one of the biggest things that helped me was preparing a few topics in advance.
Oh, that is such a good point.
Like, before I went to a social event where I knew I would have to speak Spanish, I would think of 2 or 3 topics I could bring up. Things I was genuinely interested in so I could actually talk about them. Things like a movie I had recently watched, something going on in the news, a trip I was planning.
So you were not trying to invent conversation topics on the spot under pressure.
Exactly, because under pressure, your brain freezes. But if you already have something ready, you can just reach for it when you need it.
I did something similar in French. I had a few go-to questions that I had memorized and felt comfortable saying. Things like, what do you recommend around here? Or, have you lived here long? And just having those in my back pocket gave me so much more confidence.
Yes, confidence is huge. And I think sometimes learners think that if they prepare things in advance, the conversation will feel fake or scripted. but it will not. You are just giving yourself a starting point. Once the conversation starts rolling, it becomes natural.
Right. Even native speakers think ahead about what they want to talk about at a party or a dinner. It's not cheating, it's just being prepared.
Totally. Another thing I would recommend is practicing the techniques we talked about in low-pressure situations first. So, with a cashier at a store or someone you meet briefly. A small, low-stakes interaction where it doesn't matter if it goes perfectly.
Yes, those small daily interactions are incredibly valuable for practice because you're talking to real people in real situations, but the pressure is low. If it doesn't go well, you walk out of the store and you never have to see that person again.
Which is honestly very freeing.
Very freeing. And each time it goes a little better, you build a little more confidence for the next one.
Okay, let's do one more role play. This time a longer one where we apply all of the techniques. And listeners, pay attention to the follow-up questions, the reactions, and the pivots.
Let's do it.
So, Alex, have you seen any good movies lately?
Actually, yes. I watched this documentary last night about deep sea creatures, and I could not stop watching it. I ended up staying up until 2 in the morning.
No way, really? I love documentaries. What was it about exactly?
It was about creatures that live in parts of the ocean so deep that no sunlight reaches them, and some of them glow in the dark. It is called bioluminescence. I had never really thought about how much of the ocean we have never even explored.
Oh, that is fascinating. I had no idea. What was the most surprising thing you saw?
Okay, so there was this one creature. It looked almost like something from a science fiction movie. It had these long, almost translucent, like see-through tentacles, and it just floated in the darkness. And I thought, this thing has been down there for millions of years, and we only found out about it recently.
That is wild. I totally know what you mean about things that make you feel like we know so little about the planet. Speaking of feeling small, have you ever been somewhere in nature that just made you feel that way?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I went to the Grand Canyon a few years ago, and I remember just standing at the edge and feeling like, okay, I am nothing. I am a tiny dot on a tiny planet.
I can imagine. How long did you stay there?
We were there for 2 days. And I think the second day was actually better than the first because we got up really early and watched the sunrise over the canyon. And the colors, I'm telling you, I have no words for it.
That sounds absolutely stunning. I have always wanted to go. What would you say to someone who has never been? Should they do the full hiking experience, or is just seeing it from the top enough?
That is such a good question. I think for a first-time visit, just standing at the rim and taking it all in is already unbelievable. But if you have time and energy, even a short hike down into the canyon changes everything. Because from the top, it looks like a painting. But once you're inside, you realize how massive it really is.
I love that description. A painting from the outside. Okay, that is now on my list for this year.
You have to. Bring good shoes, though.
Always.
Okay, so that is what a flowing conversation looks like. Did you notice how we kept building on each other?
Yes, and neither of us just answered and stopped. We always added something extra, an opinion, a detail, a story, and then we asked questions that came directly from what the other person said.
And we used reaction phrases throughout. No way. Really? I had no idea. That is wild. I can imagine. Those little phrases kept things feeling alive.
And when we moved from the documentary topic to the Grand Canyon, it was not a random jump. Alex mentioned feeling small when thinking about the ocean, and I connected that to feeling small in nature, which led us to the Grand Canyon. It was a smooth pivot.
It all flowed. And it can flow like that in your conversations too, once you start using these techniques.
All right, let us wrap things up with our key takeaways. I'm going to give 3 simple tips that you can start using right away.
And I'm going to add a little something after each one.
Tip number 1, always add something to your answer. Never answer a question and just stop. Add a detail, an opinion, a feeling. Even one extra sentence opens the door for the other person.
And if you're not sure what to add, just think about how it made you feel. It was good. I really enjoyed it is already so much better than just, it was good.
Tip number 2. Ask follow-up questions, not new questions. Stay with the topic the other person is talking about. Use what, how and why to get more open answers.
And remember, a follow-up question tells the other person that you were listening. That is one of the nicest things you can communicate in a conversation.
Tip number 3, react while the other person is talking. Use little phrases like, "Oh, really? Wow, I know what you mean. Tell me more." Keep the other person feeling like you're there, you're engaged, you're interested.
Because silence while someone is talking is scary. A simple or right can completely change the energy of a conversation.
And bonus tip, since we can't help ourselves, prepare a few topics and questions in advance, especially for situations where you know you'll need to speak English. It's not cheating, it's being smart.
It's preparation, and prepared people have better conversations. It's just the truth.
Okay, that's it for today's episode of Fluent English Podcast. Thank you so much for listening in and practicing with us today.
Seriously, the fact that you're here, doing this, listening to natural English conversations, you're already doing something really powerful for your learning, so keep it up.
And this week, we want you to try just one of these techniques in a real conversation. Pick one: adding detail to your answers, asking a follow-up question, or reacting with a phrase. Just one. Start small.
And if you feel like sharing how it went, or if you have a question about anything we talked about today, we would love to hear from you.
Next episode, we're talking about how to understand fast English speakers, including what to do when someone is talking too fast and you only caught half of what they said. Trust us, that one is going to be very useful.
We'll see you then. Take care, everyone.
Bye.